The Detroit Tigers win a ball game. But you don't care about that. Let's talk about the trade deadline, what we did do and what we didn't do. All today on Locked On Tigers.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Wednesday, August 3rd, 2022. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Okay, so the Detroit Tigers win a ball game. They do win 5-3 to the Minnesota Twins. We will talk about that game. But probably not as long as we usually talk about games. Usually we talk about, game recaps. There's a game every day. We talk about the game every day. That's usually what we do here. Probably only like a segment-ish on the game. We're going to be mostly talking about the trade deadline and how unbelievably underwhelming it ended up being. And that will be a majority of the show. This episode is brought to you by Blue Nile Jewelry, the original online jeweler. Make your moment sparkle with the jewelry from BlueNile.com. Going on now is the Blue Nile anniversary sale. You can save up to 40% on classic fine jewelry pieces, 25% on engagement rings. Shop stress-free. Find your forever piece at BlueNile.com today. So the Tigers would make one trade on deadline day. That would be Michael Fulmer to the Minnesota Twins. And that would be it. We traded Robbie Grossman the night before deadline day. We talked about that in yesterday's show. Kind of just a shot in the dark pitcher, lefty pitcher that we got from Atlanta for half a year of Robbie Grossman. And this year, we would trade Michael Fulmer to the Minnesota Twins for right-handed pitcher Sawyer Gipson-Long. He is expected, I guess the plan is, when asked about it, hopefully he's in Double-A currently, but they believe that he's fast-tracked and then could be in Triple-A relatively soon, by the beginning of next year at the latest. And then even hinted at the fact that maybe by the end of next season, he could be like a major league productive arm. That's all whatever. Look, the deal itself is not surprising and it's not great. Now, it's not like the worst thing that's ever happened. I personally am more frustrated in what we did not do. Michael Fulmer for Sawyer Gipson-Long in a vacuum, not like a C- deal, right? It's like, okay, you got rid of one of the better relievers on the market. He was a rental. You got him for a dude that you're hoping by the end of next season or whatever could be a major league productive player. That's the hope, right? It's like a D plus, sure, if you want to be like more pessimistic about it, which you have every right to be because this team is quickly turning into somewhat of a joke. So sure, be as pessimistic as you want about it. We had one of the better relievers on the market, but it was a rental. And the team felt like, you know what, it's a rental. It's either trade him for whatever or just let him walk. And they had no leverage in the situation, did not create any leverage in the situation, and gave him away for a dude that's not even in the Twins' top 30 prospects. That's objectively, you should be getting more for Michael Fulmer for that. You should. But it's not, that move in a vacuum is not like an F minus, whatever. The deadline, however, I consider a failure. I do. I do not consider this trade deadline passable by any stretch of the imagination. I said it at the end of yesterday's show. You have to do something. You cannot just sit there and go, well, I don't know, or oh, like we lose every trade we do, so we just are going to not try and just hold on to everybody or whatnot. You can't just do nothing. And they did about as close to nothing as you could possibly do. This front office has zero creativity. Zero. None. There is no creativity. There's no uh, capitalizing on value. There's no capitalizing on a market. There is zero creativity. We are going to be the most conservative front office you have ever seen in your life. We're going to do exactly what we have to do, what everybody feels like we have to do. We're going to trade all the people that it literally makes zero sense to hold on to, and everybody else is staying a Tiger. And they do it every single trade deadline. Every single one. They did it in 2019. They did it in 2020. They did it in 2021. And here we are again. They did it in 2018. They did it in 2017. They do it every single year. They trade the rentals that are just going to walk in free agency anyway, and you're not going to get back, and you know for a fact you're not going to get back because you're going to lose 100 next year and nobody wants to play for you. They know that they're going to lose those guys. So they trade them at the deadline for next to nothing because everybody knows they're rentals and everybody knows that they have no leverage in the situation and everybody knows there's no market for them. They trade those guys. They get a bunch of mid prospects that are barely top 30s, if they even are top 30s, in other teams' organizations. And then they carry on like it's business as usual. And they go, unless we're blown away, we're not trading anybody with more than 2 months of control left. That's not how this works. That's so unbelievably flawed. It makes me so upset, as you can tell. That logic is so flawed. I don't even know where to start with how flawed it is. You have to have some creativity. You have to trade people when their value is at their highest. I love Andrew Chafin. What a guy. What a cool guy. What a cool character. There is no reason he should be on this ball club. Joe Jimenez, career year. Great story. Great turnaround. A dude that you looked at a year ago when you weren't sure he was even going to be picked up. He was a non-tender candidate the last 2 years. Has come in and metrics wise been one of the best relievers in the American League, and statistically has been one of the best relievers in the American League, and is not a rental, has a year and a half of control left. Andrew Chafin has a player option at the end of this season. You trade him somewhere, they convince him to pick it up, then you convince him to pick it up. Now, Andrew Chafin's like kind of weird, and that's why we love him, and I'm not sure he really cares about being on a winning team, but the point remains, all you got to do is convince the dude to pick up an option. Or just pay him again. Give him a new contract if he opts out. Whatever. Even if he is a rental. That, again, back in the same boat as Fulmer then. I love the stories. I love the dudes. I'm not sure why they're here. Joe Jimenez should not be on this baseball team. I'm sorry. He shouldn't. And if you want like proof or evidence that I'm not just a crazy person, 2019 is here to slap you in the face. Matthew Boyd, least we forget, was maybe the most sought after left-handed starter on the entire trade market. Top 2, objectively. At the deadline in 2019, he was striking out everybody. He had a low ERA. He had good metrics. And he had multiple years of control left. Guess what you did? You didn't move him. And then literally 2 calendar years later, you non-tendered him for nothing. He didn't even make it to the end of his 6 years of service. You non-tendered him. It's mind-boggling that this front office just continues to make the same mistakes over and over and over again. And nobody learns their lesson and nobody cares. And we just keep on marching. And we keep on getting fed the same load every single year. Nothing moved the needle. I have heard nothing move the needle for 5 years in a row. How come 29 other teams get the needle moved every single summer? How is that possible? What are we doing? What are we doing? All right. We're going to keep talking about it. We're going to keep talking about it. There's a lot more that I still have to say. First, though, I tell you guys about something good, and that's BlueNile.com. Blue Nile is the original online jeweler. I can never say that word. I can never say jeweler first time around. I always have to screw it up and then re-say it when I read these. I'm sorry. But they are the original. And whether you're ready to pop the question or you're celebrating a milestone moment, find jewelry as unique as her with the modern convenience of online shopping at BlueNile.com. Blue Nile has simple online tools that let you choose the diamond's shape, size, and clarity, as well as setting style. Blue Nile's bench jewelers will then handcraft her perfect engagement ring. Each ring is truly one of a kind. If you're looking for fine jewelry but having trouble choosing, BlueNile.com has online experts on hand 24/7. They're available via phone or chat to help you find a memorable gift at every budget. So make your moment sparkle from BlueNile.com. And going on right now is the Blue Nile anniversary sale. You can save up to 40% on classic fine jewelry pieces and 25% on engagement ring settings. Plus, every order is insured, it ships free, and it arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. You can shop completely stress-free. Find your forever piece at BlueNile.com today. All right, everybody. Welcome back here to segment 2 at Locked On Tigers. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. So the Michael Fulmer deal, we already talked about the kid we got in return, Sawyer. Like he's got a decent low to mid 90s fastball. He's got a nice slider that grades out pretty well, and data wise is actually pretty nice shape to it. I would imagine that he's longed for the bullpen. Like most people have his ceiling as like a back end rotation guy, and I would imagine that honestly, within pretty short order, he's going to get at some point moved from that back end of rotation to just like, hey, see if you can maybe raise your fastball velo a little bit, really hone in on the slider, have that nice 2-pitch mix, and become an effective reliever. So there's your return. There's your entire trade deadline. There you go. It's just I'm so frustrated. I'm so frustrated, and I know a lot of people are really frustrated, and I'm insurmountably more frustrated with the lack of moves and the fact that we didn't even try anything than I am for what we got for Fulmer. Like truly, and I'm not blown away by the Fulmer deal. I'm not trying to say that, but I I don't. It doesn't make sense to me. It makes zero sense to me. The only way that this is justifiable is if this front office has convinced itself that this year is a total anomaly. They've just caught every bad break there is. That the team will bounce back and be good next year, and not only be good, be competitive next year to where you are a buyer next year. That's the only justifiable reasoning for this. Is if you think your team is going to be good enough next August 2nd to where you're a buyer. Because think about it, even if we take big steps forward, we're a 500 team, but come trade deadline, we're 6 games out of it. What are we going to do? We're going to sell again. And who are we going to sell? Half a year of Andrew Chafin and half a year of Joe Jimenez. And what are we going to get? Significantly less than what we could have given them this year. And it's just going to keep going like it always does. I genuinely don't understand it. And yeah, like people are like, "Oh, well, I would have rather just hung on to Fulmer." I understand that the return was super underwhelming and it should have been more, and it should have been more. You're right. But like the whole interdivision thing, honestly, I don't really care about. It's half a year. And we were going to lose to the Twins nearly every time we played them the rest of the year anyways. I don't really care about half a year of interdivision when we're the last place team in the division and we trade them to the first place team in the division. I don't really care personally. So like I understand the notion of like we have to trade him because holding on to him does do us no good. unless you had an extension just like in the books and you and Fulmer were both like tentatively kind of agreeing on it, there's no reason to hold on to Michael Fulmer. And you had to move him, and you should have gotten more. And it's just like I said, it's just the same thing every year. We're just regurgitated the same nonsense every single summer. And then we'll be regurgitated it again every winter, right after winter meetings when we don't do anything exciting. And it's going to continue. It's just going to keep continuing. This is a quote that infuriated me. Okay? This quote is from Cody Stavenhagen's article. He's with The Athletic, did an article recapping the trade deadline, talked about this just forever cycle that we're in. He did a great job. He's a great writer. He's a great dude. The quote from Avila is, I don't know if disappointed is the right word. You're always looking with an open mind with our better players. We've always said it's not like we're trying to move anybody. Quote, it's more of, quote, if we can improve our major league club, we would certainly listen. Obviously, in that scenario, you would hope to be able to be satisfied with being able to make a trade and being happy with what is offered. If not, then you move on and you're happy to keep the players you have. Why? You are 21 games under 500. Why are you happy to keep the players you have? Why? Why is that a good thing? We've always said it's not like we're trying to move anybody. Try. For the love of everything, try to move people. What are we talking about? What are you doing? Literally, I hear these quotes and I think I'm losing my mind. This dude runs the Tigers. And he has for 7 years. I'm mind blown. For like every day, it blows my mind. I don't know. I don't know what to do anymore. Like, seriously, I don't know where we go. And like, I'll calm down. I will, and we'll go about the rest of the season, and I'll be way more calm, and I'll just be numb to losing, and we'll just go for and even probably in the third segment, I'll talk about the fact that we won, and I'll be way calmer, and it'll just be oh, here's just another win that doesn't mean really anything. But inside, I'm just dumbfounded always. It's unbelievable. I have so many questions. Like you probably have a lot of questions as a listener or as a fan of the team, and just like how we're here and what the next steps are. I share all those questions. I don't know. This team has so many holes to fill. We are over 20 we are in last place in the division. We're over 20 games under 500. What? What? I don't know. So I'll repeat myself again. The Robbie Grossman deal, the Michael Fulmer deal, in a vacuum, whatever. You think they're bad trades? You think whatever? They were rentals. You had to get rid of them. You didn't get what you should have gotten for Fulmer. Robbie, I'm glad you got a living, breathing person, but you should have gotten more for Fulmer. Jeez, I can't speak. You didn't, but you had to move him because it didn't make sense not to. That's all we do every deadline. No team has ever been successful with zero creativity in a front office. And we just have none. Year after year, it's just the rental. I mean, 2019, Castellanos, Shane Green. The rentals move out. You get Alex Lang, who at the time was a failed starter. That worked out really well for you. Now you got a reliever. And then you move Shane Green, who was an all-star caliber closer at the first half of the year. You got Travis Demerit, who's not with the organization anymore. And you have Joey Wentz, who is a pretty whatever you want to label him, like a B-level prospect, I guess you would say at best. And hasn't really made a mark at the major league level. It's just Cameron Maben for Zach Short. No, everybody else stayed. Everybody else stuck around. All the 1.5 year of control dudes were stuck around. It's just it's so frustrating to, like, clearly this blueprint doesn't work. Clearly building the entire rebuild around pitching doesn't work. Clearly your trade machine, whatever your trade logic is, every deadline and every winter meetings doesn't work. Clearly how you determine who gets big contracts all the way back to your first year, back to 2016, 15, doesn't work because you haven't had a multi-year deal turn out yet. The strategy in which you draft after the first round, there's a couple of diamonds in the rough. As a whole, it's pretty weak. Even the people you've drafted in the first round haven't really done a whole lot yet. It just amazes me in the most negative connotation possible. It amazes me. I'm sorry this is so, like, aggressive and whatever. I'm not. It takes a lot to get me. I'm usually pretty. I'm dramatic, but I'm usually not angry. I'm usually a pretty mellow person when it comes to that. But golly, unreal. All right, let's get into the rest of the deadline stuff. We will talk about the game that was played. The Tigers did win a ball game last night. We'll talk about all that. We did make some organizational moves as well. We'll cover all of it here in the final segment. But first, I got to tell y'all about our friends over at BetOnline. BetOnline, the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. Find all your favorite sports and events, and the number one online source for odds, lines, and games. Find reviews and news of every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports wagering information, from live betting, scores, podcasts. They have you covered with all of it. It's a great tool. So head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn about the trends and the action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Okay. Welcome back, everybody. Segment 3 here. Locked On Tigers. Tigers did win a ball game. This one, we'll talk about it really quickly because I don't think there's honestly too terribly much to talk about with it. But they did win, and we do need to talk about that for at least a little bit. The offense in this one, honestly, early was getting absolutely diced by 2022 Chris Archer for what feels like the 19th time this season. He had 8 Ks and 4 1/3. Remarkable. They did get 2 runs off of him, though. Then the bullpen happened for the Minnesota Twins. They get 3 earned runs off of Jax. Well, they're all credited to Jax at least. This is a team that the Minnesota Twins team that very much needed to add bullpen pieces, and they certainly did. Obviously, getting Michael Fulmer, but then also adding Baltimore Orioles, one of their best relievers on the year. So they definitely did what they needed to do, and tonight was a prime example of why they needed to do it, because they were winning a ball game, and then the bullpen came in and blew it. Can't be losing games. I mean, in their eyes, you can't be losing games to the Detroit Tigers when you're trying to clinch the division and after you just bought at the deadline. That's their perspective, right? So that's certainly why they did what they did. But some really good at bats later in the game. The beginning of the game, the at bats were terrible, and then like in the 5th inning, everybody just decided that we were going to kind of try and turn it around a little bit. And I thought from then on out, the at bats got significantly better. The 7th inning, I really liked everybody's approach. Even in the later innings when we weren't scoring, I liked the approach at the plate a little bit more. I thought it was a little more of an aggressive, but also patient. It's possible to be both, I promise, and that's just how I chose to describe what I saw, I guess. The Tigers pitching for this one was Matt Manning. We're going to save him for last. The bullpen was nails, as they've been all year, and we still have all of our bullpen because we didn't trade any of them. So I guess there you go. We had some bullpen pieces there that stepped up. Jason Foley looked pretty solid. Andrew Chafin looked great. Joe Jimenez looked fantastic, to be honest with you. And Gregory Soto, I thought looked really good. His ERA is down to 2.19. So, I almost just called the pump fake and started going down a different rabbit hole, but we're gonna finish the game first. Matt Manning. Then we'll end on trade deadline stuff again. Matt Manning, 5 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 4 walks, 1 strikeout. Um, the Tigers broadcast was said that this at one point said that this was like a really encouraging outing from Matt Manning. I think that's just because like he didn't give up a million, like he gave up 3 earned runs in 5 innings. He walked 4 people and struck out one. He had 5 whiffs. I like the velocity was not where we're used to it being. It was pretty substantially, honestly, down from where it was at this point last year, and it's been earlier in the season. The command was just all over the place. I mean, that's really what this comes down to. The stuff has never really been a huge Matt Manning issue. The fastball certainly needs a little more. When it's at its peak, it's nice. It's very inconsistent. Some days he's throwing a fastball 92, and some days he's touching 97. There's just really no consistency there. I like his sinker. I think it has decent movement. The curveball and the slider both have really good movement, have pretty good shapes when they're executed correctly. I like his stuff. I think it has the potential to play. It just all comes back to command. And in this one, especially in the first 2 innings, he had pretty much zero command of the fastball. I mean, there was one point where they were trying to aim for like a ball high to try to get somebody to chase high, and he was throwing it at like below the knees and like missing the strike zone a foot to the right. Like it really was sporadic, and that's why you have 4 walks in 5 innings and 9 base runners in 5 innings. But they were able to limit it at least to the point where it was only 3 earned runs, put the Tigers in a position to win a ball game. 8 5 innings, even though you did have to go through 4 relievers. At some point, that's gonna have to change. But for now, we'll take it. I'm not gonna find too much to complain about in the game itself. In a game that we won, I'm just gonna take it. So okay, let's just end with my get everything out there with the trade deadline. We'll just word vomit a little bit more, and then we'll be done with it. All right. Um, Tarek Skubal, that discourse has been going on. He pretty much, Avila being he, pretty much regurgitated the same. I've been saying that word a lot this episode. I don't know why. Pretty much said the same thing he's been telling us with everybody else. We weren't going to go out and actively shop him. We were going to sit back and see if anybody can match our price. That's fine. Gregory Soto, from pretty much all reports, the Tigers asked for Gregory Soto was astronomical, like to the point where no team was even remotely close to having a conversation about Gregory Soto. It was just like absolutely through the roof, and no team was willing to pay it. Which I mean, again, multiple years on a lefty that throws 100. If he can hone in the command, he's going to be really good. But certainly, again, like, and I'm not saying I don't want this to get misconstrued as they should have just gone out and traded literally everybody. I don't want that to be the message that I'm sending. I don't want people to think that that's what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying they just should have traded Soto and Jimenez and Chafin and Fulmer and Foley. You know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying no team has ever been built by just trading no team has ever been built by not taking the best free agent available. All their free agents that they've signed to multi-year deals are not the top of the board at their position. And then the trades all being just the rental players. People get creative. You have to have creativity. You have to. And sometimes you're going to look like a doofus. For sure. That comes with the risk. But I promise you, people are going to respect the attempt a lot more than just sitting here every single August and going, well, we hung on to everybody. Maybe we can flip them this winter, or maybe we can flip them next year. Or maybe we'll be way better next year and there'll be really valuable pieces in the bullpen. So, like, we didn't want to really go out of our way to trade them because, like, what if we improve our win total by 40 games magically out of nowhere? It could happen. You can't keep doing it. You can't. You have to try stuff. Doing nothing was such a disservice to this organization, truly. I've said it like 9 times on the show. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it again. The return for what we got for the 2 guys we gave up is what it is. It's not great. It's not what anybody expected, but they're rentals at the end of the day. But the fact that you did nothing with your Joe Jimenez's career. This is his ERA by year, okay? Full seasons. 4.31, 4.37, 7.15, 5.96, and this year a 2.93. He has not had an ERA under 4.3 his entire life. His entire Tigers life. He has not had a sub 4.31 ERA his entire major league career. He has a sub 3 ERA right now with crazy good metrics and data. And yet, with a year and a half of control, you didn't move him. You just said, you know what? None of it moved us. None of it moved the needle. Now, a 24-year-old in double A, that moves the needle for us. But nothing moved the needle for us on Joe. Career 5.27 ERA, has a 2.93 this year with a year and a half left, and you didn't move him. Because you want to hold on to him next year. And I'm sure there will be people that respond to this episode, that reach out to me, that make it public, whatever, that are like, hey, like, maybe we'll be good next year, and maybe that's why we're holding on to people, or maybe we're going to try to make a big splash in the offseason or whatever. That's fine. And that you're totally right. That might happen. Totally fair take. Anything's possible in this crazy world. Tigers could improve their win total by 40 games next year. They could. Sure. Why not? And then Al looks like a genius. I'm just asking you to look at the last 6 years and tell me why I should believe the man and all these quotes that he's given us 6 years in a row. What makes this year different? Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. Now make your next listen Locked On MLB. MLB expert Paul Francis Sullivan brings humor, passion, and his unique perspective on every team and the biggest stories from around the league. Follow the #1 daily league-wide podcast, Locked On MLB, on the Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. Okay. An ode to Michael Fulmer really quickly before I do let you go here. What a ride it's been. And I said this yesterday, but I just want to really drive home the point. What a ride it's been, man. I wish nothing but the best for that man for the rest of his life. What an incredible human being. What a ball player. What a warrior. What a fighter. If you're a parent or a grandparent and you have kids, I can't think of too many better role models or people to look up to. If your kids are Tigers fans and they watch the team, and is there really anybody on the team that's a better role model that you just were like, yeah, like, be a diehard fan of that guy more than Michael Fulmer? And what a trooper. What a trooper, man. Looked like he was going to be the ace of the Tigers for years to come after his rookie year. Then injuries started, plaguing him a little bit the next couple of years, and then injuries really caught up to him. And the front office did him zero favors. That's a whole different rabbit hole that I'm not going to go on because I'm already over time. But it's it's sad to see him go. And I'm glad he's going to a contender. I'm glad he's going to be able to pitch meaningful baseball because he hasn't since his rookie year. And that's awesome. I'm so happy for him. And I will always, always, always be a fan of Michael Fulmer. And I come on here and I talk about, X's and O's, and I give my analysis because, for some reason people want to listen to that. But at the end of the day, when you separate, and he's been great this year, but when you separate the X's and O's and the stats and the production and what he means to the game of baseball versus him as a human being, that is a fantastic person. And the grit and the mental strength it must have taken to go through all the injuries he went to and all the stuff and try to come back as a starter and just not have it anymore. He just didn't. And then have to be converted to the bullpen and then like find a role as a top end reliever in this sport by the end of his Tigers career. Just incredible will, an incredible mindset that he must have, and he deserves everything good that comes his way for the rest of his career. So just wanted to give him his flowers that he has so rightfully earned over the last 6 years as a Detroit Tiger. Definitely a fan favorite, and has every right to be a fan favorite for as long as he keeps playing and after he's done playing. I can already hear people saying, "Oh, try and re-sign him this year." When has that ever happened? People say that for every single rental that has ever been traded in the history of ever. It's happened like 4 times. I would not hold my breath. I would obviously welcome it. I would love it, but it doesn't happen. So, respect to Michael Fulmer. Big ups. Heck of a ride. Heck of a ride it's been. I'm glad that by the end of it, this fan base didn't view it as, sometimes fan bases can be nasty and can look at dudes that maybe didn't reach expectations or whatnot and go like, ew, like, I don't like you and boo players and stuff. But he always seemed to get support here, and he always everybody always realized what we had with him. So okay, I've gone way too long. This was not supposed to be like some really long thing at the end. I just wanted to say, just give him his flowers. Say thank you for everything you did for the Tigers organization, Michael. And yeah, nothing but the best. Big ups. Okay, that'll do it for me. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm sorry if this was really aggressive. I really don't mean to get everybody riled and upset like on their way to work at 5, 6, 7, 8 in the morning. That's not my intention. But I'm tired, and I think a lot of people are tired. Peace and love. Peace and love, baby. Going to therapy's dope, and I will catch y'all tomorrow. Go Tigers, baby.